Hello and welcome to week 11. Amanda, John, Laura, and I are excited to talk CSR with you. But first, let's start with some context. In the 1960s and 70s, economists like Milton Friedman believed that the only social responsibility a business had was to increase its profits. Friedman asserted that the fundamentally subversive doctrine of corporate social responsibility is unfair, undemocratic, unwise, and a violation of trust. He argued that it was unethical for a business executive to spend money on any general social interest because he or she may spend corporate funds in a manner inconsistent with the stockholders, consumers, or employees' wishes or interests. Today, more and more businesses view CSR as a way to integrate their social and environmental concerns in their business operations and in their interaction with their stakeholders. This presentation will evaluate the evolution of CSR and depict the challenges and benefits that organizations face in implementing CSR, specifically how Trader Joe's has embraced CSR within their company. Now let's consider an overview of CSR and the content for this week. Falk and Heblich provide a more contemporary definition in stating that CSR is the voluntary corporate commitment to exceed the explicit and implicit obligations imposed on a company by society's expectations of conventional corporate behavior. Additionally, they make the argument that practicing CSR is part of an effective long-term strategy for an organization while pursuing short-term, high-yield goals will lead to approaches that are not in society's best interests. They view CSR as for both companies and society to prosper, and it corresponds with Porter and Kramer's definition of strategic philanthropy. Porter and Kramer wrote about the linkage between competitive advantage and CSR and claimed that most arguments in support of CSR utilize one of four primary justifications: moral obligation, sustainability, license to operate, and reputation. All four of these categories share a common shortcoming, namely that each focused on the tension between business and society rather than on their interdependence. Each creates a generic rationale that is not tied to the strategy and operations of any specific company or the places in which it operates. Ultimately, they suggest strategic CSR is a more impactful alternative to the more commonly seen examples of corporate philanthropic efforts that are executed separately from core business operations. Their approach includes 5 central activities: identifying points of intersection, choosing which social issues to address, creating a corporate social agenda, integrating inside out and outside in practices, and creating a social dimension to the value proposition. Let's look at these 5 steps in more detail. The first step is a rather straightforward way of identifying the manner in which a company's operations impacted the society around it: inside-out linkages, and the influence that external conditions such as infrastructure and regulations have on the company, outside-in linkages. Recognizing these interdependencies reinforces the key principles of strategic CSR, namely shared value where any decisions must benefit both sides. Moreover, no business can or should try to address all of society's problems. They just can't. Each should select issues that present an opportunity to create shared value, which is a meaningful benefit to society that is also valuable to the business. Porter and Kramer recommend sorting issues based on the points of intersection: no intersection, generic issues, issues affected by company activities, value chain social impacts, or issues that impact the company's environment, social dimensions of competitive context. After these intersections are identified, they propose ranking them based on potential impacts. Successful completion of these activities enabled the creation of a corporate social agenda, which entailed moving from mitigating harm to finding ways to reinforce a corporate strategy by advancing social conditions. The fourth activity of integrating inside out and outside in practices results in a scenario where CSR becomes hard to distinguish from the day-to-day operations of the company. When done well, the activities reinforce each other and value chain activities lead to improvements in the social dimensions of competitive context and vice versa. Finally, creating a social dimension of the value proposition requires that a company embed a social benefit in its own unique market offering. For example, when the value proposition that differentiates it from other companies includes a tangible social benefit as well. Given our understanding of CSR, let's consider 2 examples. Experts agree that some of the top challenges businesses encounter in our increasingly globalized market are maintaining customer loyalty, increased selection and competition, and integrity. Reluctance to strategically integrate CSR into business practices can have damaging effects in all of these areas, in addition to catastrophic financial consequences. The massive oil spill perpetrated by British Petroleum, BP, in 2010 is a key example of how a company's disregard of social and environmental responsibility backfired to a monumental degree. The oil company lobbied the U.S. Congress to exclude the precaution of mechanical locks to offshore drilling ventures, and the $20 million worth of savings resulted in over $40 billion of mitigation expenses and immeasurable harm to the Gulf of Mexico ecosystem. The company lost the trust of consumers, 55% of its shareholder value, and killed 11 of its employees when the Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded. Conversely, CEOs like Whole Foods' John Mackey believe that their companies can represent a new form of capitalism, one that more consciously works for the common good instead of depending solely on the invisible hand to generate positive results for society. Mackey insists that the most successful of businesses put their customers first and that profit-centered corporations see consumer satisfaction as simply a means to an end. He explains, "At Whole Foods, we measure our success by how much value we can create for all 6 of our most important stakeholders: customers, team members, investors, vendors, communities, and the environment." He feels that corporate philanthropy is good business, which works in favor of long-term benefits of investors. Mackey's philosophy has been tested extensively over the past 40 years, and his vision was validated recently when his company was purchased for nearly $14 billion in cash in 2017. Whole Foods offers proof that CSR pays dividends in profits, customer loyalty, competition, and the projection of corporate integrity. In our review of several organizations, Trader Joe's stood out amongst many for their strategic CSR commitment to their employees, consumers, and community. In describing their culture on their website, Trader Joe's states, "It's simple, really. We believe that doing the right thing as it relates to all Trader Joe's stakeholders, crew, customers, vendors, is the right thing to do, and it starts with our crew." The slogan of Trader Joe's to be your neighborhood store is tied to their CSR initiative, from sustainability to food donation programs. In viewing CSR as a win for society and the company, Falk and Heblich state that from a supply perspective, a good reputation is necessary to attract, retain, and motivate quality employees. From a demand side perspective, a good reputation increases the value of the brand. The high reputation of Trader Joe's has made it not only a profitable grocery store, but it is also listed as one of the top places to work by Glassdoor. An employee from Trader Joe's attributed the company's insurance and 401k plan as one of the top perks in working at Trader Joe's. Although Trader Joe's is not required to match up to 10% of an employee's salary to their retirement plan, Trader Joe's chose to invest in their employees as part of their strategic approach in caring for the financial and medical health of its employees. Their commitment to their employees has had a positive effect in retaining employees and attracting qualified applicants. The potential challenges of this approach in extending employee benefits is that Trader Joe's may be forced to minimize the cost of healthcare and matching 10% of their employees' retirement contributions if they continue to grow in size or if the company declines greatly in sales. Since Trader Joe's has not needed to scale back on the benefits given to employees, the results of this potential challenge are unknown. In regards to sustainability, Trader Joe's recently committed to moving away from the use of plastic carry-out bags, which mirrors current practices at Whole Foods, yet not any of the other majority of chain grocery stores. Furthermore, after receiving 100,000 signatures from Greenpeace to reduce its use of plastic, Trader Joe's responded to this social issue by decreasing its environmental footprint by eliminating more than 1 million pounds of plastic in the stores. In addition to the recent changes of removing plastic carryout bags, the challenge that Trader Joe's faced was potential outcry from the community if it ignored the Greenpeace petition, but it also has to tackle the creation of a new strategy to reduce 1 million pounds of plastic waste. In responding positively to the petition, Trader Joe's maintained its recognition for striving to be sustainable and displayed strategic CSR. According to Porter and Kramer, strategic CSR must go beyond best practices. It's about doing things differently from competitors in a way that lowers costs or better serves a particular set of customer needs. Although the planning and immediate cost of reducing plastic usage is high, this initiative aligns with the needs of the community and potential customers. As we conclude this presentation, in response to the changing dynamics of millennials in the workforce and the retirement of baby boomers, the development and deployment of CSR initiatives are expected to continue to change and emerge in multiple facets throughout organizations. Although there are numerous strengths in implementing CSR within an organization, companies should be strategic in the initiatives that they select and ensure they coincide with the company's mission and operational capability.